Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean again tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Good. How we doing, boys?
Going on?
Nothing much. Just excited for the playoffs around the corner in a few weeks here. But we'll get into it. But before, just follow us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. Interact with us any way you can. We post memes throughout the week and questions. So just interact with us any way possible. So leading off tonight, we have a lot of stuff to cover tonight, but first we're going to get right into it. Judge versus Ohtani coming down the stretch here. Who is our AL MVP? I mean, we've been kind of going back and forth, but all of us have been pretty unanimous thinking that Judge was going to get it or should get it. I've been vocal on like MLB pages and all that stuff saying like it's Judge and there's no questions about it. However, Ohtani's not going away.
No.
And
no, he's not.
I mean, how are we feeling overall?
You can go first, Harrison.
All right, fine. I'll go first. I'm still on the Aaron Judge bandwagon. That Yankees team would have fallen out of first place without him. He's carried them for what feels like the last 2 or 3 months, whatever they've managed. I swear every time I see him hit, it's in the 7th inning in a 1-run game and he's driving in 2 or he's hitting a home run that puts him up. He consistently brings them big hits when they need it. He's played great defense. He's been a true captain. He's been the heart and soul of that lineup. And he's become the face of that franchise. And nothing against Ohtani. The guy's having another massive season, but I still struggle with the idea of he wins it because he plays both positions, but Aaron Judge is a far better hitter, and he's on a team that wasn't going to go anywhere whether he was there or not. So I'm still in the Aaron Judge camp.
Yeah, I am too. But my gap is getting a lot closer than it was a month ago. Like I was pretty far away on the Judge train, which I mean I still am. I still think it's Judge, and to me it's getting closer, but it's not. I don't think it's neck and neck. I think Harrison. I couldn't agree more. I think with the collapse of that Yankee team has had since the All-Star break, the second half of the year. Without Judge, there's no chance they're in first place in the division right now. They would have already lost. They would already be in second place behind Tampa Bay. There were legitimate games. I mean, we talked about when it wrapped from August to September. I mean, there was a 4-game spin where he was 3-game spin where he was the only guy that scored runs. Yeah. They scored a run. IKF hit a home run in like September 7th or September 6th, and it was the first game in September that anyone other than Aaron Judge had scored a run. Like, that is remarkable.
It's amazing.
So I still think it's Judge. I think his numbers are ridiculous. The power numbers obviously are ridiculous, but it's the overall, the batting average, the on-base percentage, the strikeout to walk ratio, all that stuff is MVP level stuff, while also being the front runner of a team that is winning a division and likely going to get, are they second in the American League, still on pace for that bye week? If not, they're close. I still think they are, right? Houston's one seed and they're the 2 seed, right?
Yeah, they're comfortably in that 2 spot.
Yeah, so I mean, they're getting a bye week in the first round. They're winning the division, and Judge is really the major reason why that's happening. But I will finish up with Shohei by saying I thought he was dead and gone in the sense of getting MVP votes. I think he will. I mean, not I think. He will get votes. He will get votes. I don't think he should win it.
He deserves some.
He does. At this point now, he deserves some votes for the MVP, no question. With what he's doing on the mound. I mean, I started thinking, now granted, it's a season award. It's not a career award. But it just goes to show you, at this point in his career, through the same games as Giancarlo Stanton, he has similar batting average, like right there with batting average, right there with on-base percentage, right there with OPS, and right there with slugging. Same as Stanton at this point in his career. And then at this point of his career with pitching, he's right there with Max Scherzer, with ERA, strikeouts. So it's like, that's pretty crazy. Now, that those numbers shouldn't get you the 2022 MVP award, but I think it, on a broader sense, it goes to show you how much better this guy is getting on both sides of the ball. Like, he's becoming a better pitcher than he was 2 years ago and a better hitter than he was 2 years ago. And he's doing it all at the same time, which is insane. But I still think it's Judge's award to win.
Yeah,
Just
dude,
to
that's
give
a,
you
that's a crazy comparison that you just said. Like you're one person, and you're like, you're like sculpting your video game player. It's like, I'm gonna put Max Scherzer as the pitcher here, and then Stanton as the hitter here. Like, under one guy, it's crazy.
Yeah, so just real quick on the stats. So Aaron Judge currently leads baseball, all of baseball, not just the American League, all of baseball, in runs, home runs, RBIs, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, total bases, intentional walks, and he leads the American League in walks and on-base percentage, and he's only a couple percentage points behind against the whole league. It's stupid what he's doing this year. He's hitting 307, 55 home runs, 113 runs scored, 121 RBIs, 410 on base percentage. Shohei's hitting 266, 34 home runs, 80 runs scored, 88 RBIs, 355 OBP. A good season. But like, Aaron Judge's numbers are like back in the days of when you used to stack your video game team. Like, they're not even real life.
Right.
For me, I lean towards Judge. I think, and it's not really fair for me to do this, but I'm gonna. I don't really know how Ohtani is in the locker room, but Judge's intangibles on this team right now, like, I'm not talking on the field stuff. I'm talking like the stuff we've talked about before. The taking the lead out when Miles Straw was getting bottles thrown at him. He's the first face out there stopping that. Garrett Cole comes charging out of the dugout. He's the first guy to tell him to get his ass back in the dugout. Josh Donaldson tries to start a bench clear, and Judge like holds the team back and is like, dude, what are you doing? You know, like, so those are the intangibles that I kind of lean towards as like a leader and valuable to your team, because he's kind of there to like rein them all in, you know, and put up the season he's doing. I just think I'm kind of in Sean's camp here. Is like, like I said, I've been pretty public about it's Judge's award and Ohtani doesn't have a shot, and that gap is closing for sure. And it's not as obvious as it was a month ago. But like you said, when the Yankees are hitting the tank like they are right now, and Judge is the only reason their head is above water, it's really hard to not name him an MVP, because he's single-handedly carrying the Yankees to the playoffs at this point.
Yep.
I mean, yes, they have a big lead. They won't not make the playoffs. But, I mean, Tampa's charging, and Judge is the only reason why they're above water now. So I still...
Yeah, and for Judge to do this in essentially like a contract year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's not doing this, you know, with 6 years left on a like this. It's for all intents and purposes, this is a contract year for him. And to be in that market, to do it with what he's doing from the beginning of the year all the way through, I mean, Jesus, it's his. It's got to be his. But Ohtani has deserved some votes. But shit, it's got to be Judge.
Yeah, this was definitely. It felt like a runaway. You know, Ohtani hasn't faded in any way. He's continued to keep pace and impress. So yeah, I think Ohtani's made it competitive. But if Judge doesn't win it this year, Ohtani won it last year, and you could have argued that, you know, Vladdy really had a good case there. But he had a hell of a season. I just don't think you can compete against Judge this year. But Ohtani's definitely made it interesting. And if I'm the Yankees, there's not a Brinks truck big enough for what you're going to have to back up to offer this guy to get him to stay, because dragging him all the way to the offseason and him having the season he's having, if I'm him, I've got to be listening to some offers to see what else is out there.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll close out my thoughts on it with this. Ohtani won it last year. I thought Vlad, to your point, Harrison, I thought he made a case for it, could have won it. I think if Vlad did win it, I don't think I would have been upset. I wouldn't have been throwing a fit. But Vlad didn't have a historic year.
No.
Judge is having a historic year. This is the year in Judge's career that people will go back and be like, oh, that year was amazing.
Yep.
like that year. And when you say that year about Judge, everyone will know what year you're talking about. He's having a historic year. So I just don't see how you don't get it when you're having a year for the record books. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I mean, it's hard to. I just, yes, Ohtani does both sides of the ball, and I'm like, I don't know, it's weird. Like I understand the historical significance of what this guy is doing. I do, and I'm not trying to depreciate it at all, but I also feel like it's a tired argument at the same time. Like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if you guys are picking, like, you know what I mean? Like we know he does both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
We get it. But the Angels are in the basement. They're not even a 500 team. Like it's hard.
I'll tell you this. And this is where it becomes like, this is where it's hard for baseball, because it's a team sport that is such an individualized team sport. And we talk about individual awards. And I mean, it's the sport is rife with individual awards. Every year every position gets its own awards.
Right.
If Ohtani had these exact same numbers offensively and on the mound, exact same, I'm talking exact same numbers for a team that was the number one wild card team, I would probably say that he has a much, much better shot, which that's not fair to Ohtani.
Right.
It's not fair to Ohtani. I mean, he's a really disgustingly good player on a very, very bad underperforming team. But the fact of the matter is, he's doing it for a team that has no playoff hopes. No, it's not like his performance is what's pushing them over the edge, which is exactly what's happening with Judge. Which is why, even though the individual performance stands, like, the team performance matters, at least to me. Like, it has to matter. And like, the fact that Judge is doing it for a team that needs him to do it, or else they're going to be in a wildly different spot. The only thing that the Angels are different is that, they might be 10 games worse, but
it's the pressure, though, right? Judge is doing it, like you're saying, with the pressure. Ohtani has zero pressure on him. Right. He goes out and gives up 6 earned runs in 4 innings. He goes, well, we were going to lose this game anyways. Like,
I don't know about that. I don't know about the no pressure. There's no team pressure. There's no team
that's
pressure
what I meant. The pressure to win.
But the pressure for Ohtani to show up every day and continue to put these numbers up to be because he's been the next Babe Ruth ever since he was in Japan. I mean, he's been dubbed as the next Babe Ruth. And then for him to come over here and continue to do it year after year, there is pressure. There is pressure, no doubt. Because if one part of his game slips, I mean, that's all you're going to hear. Oh, he couldn't hack it. He couldn't do it as a pitcher, or he couldn't do it as a hitter. He should only pick one. So there's pressure on him. There's the team pressure. There's no pressure on him to get them to the postseason. But I disagree with that. I definitely think there's pressure on him to show out every day.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking about the personal pressure as much as the team. There's no team pressure.
Yeah, I mean,
for him to carry his team at this point of the season.
Aaron Judge is getting at bats in the 7th inning of a game against the Rays. There's playoff implications, and Ohtani's playing in front of 7 people against the Royals, and it just the games don't matter. But at the same time, he's got some hype that he's got to either live up to or forever live under. So it's interesting.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I never really even thought of it that way, to be honest. Like, but you're right. I mean, think about when he started having the elbow issues before the Tommy John. Like, a lot of people were already saying, like, maybe he shouldn't pitch. Maybe he should just come here and hit. And so, I mean, you're 1,000% right. I just was ignorant to the fact that, like, I didn't think about the personal pressures that he's under. But I was thinking just more of the team, the playoff implications, like Harrison stated.
Yeah, but you do bring up an interesting point, Nick. I think in general, I think your true baseball fans are tired of hearing over and over again that he's so good because he does both. Like, okay, great. He does both. He's very good at them. Like, we know that, but that doesn't make him a better player than everybody else because he can do both. Right. This is probably the first year he's proven that he's actually very good on both sides. Last year pitching, he was okay. Offensively, he was good. This year, he's been dominant as a pitcher. And actually, if you look at his offensive numbers have come down a little bit this year versus last, but his pitching's gotten better. So, I mean, I think he's showing us another side to him. But I agree. I'm in the same boat as you a little bit, where I'm just so tired of everybody wanting to immediately give him every award there is because he pitches too. Like, I get it. I get
Yeah.
it, but that doesn't make him more valuable because he has both. It's just he just plays differently because when he's not pitching, he DHs.
Right.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. And I don't want to come across as an Ohtani hater because I think the guy's incredible. Like I really do. Like he's something to watch. He's a spectacle. But
Right.
like you said, like it's weird for me to say that like it's a tired argument, but like okay, like this is old news, like which again isn't necessarily fair to Ohtani, but it's like okay, as a whole, as a baseball collective, everybody knows he does both. So let's just move forward and like go from there. I mean, I don't know. I can't really put a word on it, but that's just
Well, it's funny because
feeling.
but if he didn't pitch, he's not even in this conversation. If those are his offensive stats as a DH only, he's not even in the conversation. There's probably 3 other guys in the league that have better offensive stats than him that would leapfrog him.
Right.
Because we haven't talked about some other players that are absolutely deserving, but because he
does pitch.
it allows him. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
If he didn't
if my
pitch,
aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. Like he does pitch, he does both, and he does them very well. Like I will argue that pitching does make him more valuable than if he wasn't. It just doesn't make him the most valuable player.
Yeah,
like if he was only one or the other, then yes, he's more valuable than if he wasn't.
Well, think about it though. There's 3 phases to the game. There's pitching, hitting,
Yeah.
and defense. With Ohtani, you get pitching and hitting, no defense. With Judge,
Yeah.
you get defense and hitting, no pitching.
Great defense. Great defense.
Exactly.
Gold glove
So
defense. Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
The offset to Ohtani pitches, okay, but it gives you nothing in the field. Like you can bat this argument around for forever.
You sure can. Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying. The only thing that I'm disagreeing, I guess, where I'm rambling on here, but the only part that I would disagree is, I understand that you guys are saying it's like a tired argument, and it's just because we're hearing it all the time, and like you can't scroll through Twitter without just seeing like, oh, this hasn't been done since Slim Bob, whatever. It's like I get it, like I get it.
Slim Bob.
So that part, I agree, like that part is a bit tired, but he's really goddamn good at pitching, and he's really goddamn good at hitting, and he's doing them both at the same time, and it's just so goddamn impressive. And I think it makes him the second most valuable player in the league, and I think any other year, he's probably the most valuable player, but a historic Judge season, I think, has to take it, and if it doesn't, I think it does go to show you the bias of and I'm not saying bias necessarily against Judge in a sense, but just the bias of we haven't seen this in forever, so we're going to give him all the awards possible. That kind of thing.
I think the media and the league are incredibly romantic over this whole Ohtani thing.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think he does get consideration where, maybe other players don't get the same level of consideration. And honestly, the guy's good for the game. He's great for the game of baseball.
Absolutely.
As Nick and I were saying before we got on the air, it's a shame that Mike Trout's wasted his career in Anaheim, where us on the East Coast don't get to appreciate him. Same with Ohtani, but at least he's bringing in more people to the game of baseball, and he's attracting people that are, even if they're just watching it for the novelty of it, people are watching him play that would never have watched baseball before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
I mean, I'm about ready to unfollow MLB because it's like it's an Ohtani meme like every single day, and I think that's part of the tiredness of it. Like, I get you're trying to push him; he's one of the best players, if not the best player in baseball right now. But it's just like, okay, like we all get it, like we all get it. But
yeah, speaking of memes, there's a meme, I think we shared it on the Facebook page, that actually people were reacting to like it was news until they realized it was a joke. But a guy that goes by the Yankees Muse on Twitter put up, it says Aaron Judge will miss batting practice tomorrow because he'll be at a chiropractor, per sources. He has supposedly injured his back after carrying 39 players on it, roughly 8,000 pounds. There were literally people reacting, oh my God, he's injured, the Yankee season. Like, people were reading that like it was news. And it's got to be one of the funniest. And honestly, it's got to be one of the truest, too, because that man has literally lugged that whole roster with him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we'll move on here. The next bit of news, the minor league baseball players are starting to unionize, and the MLBPA is starting to is helping them out with that. I don't know too much details about that. other than that they are forming the union, which I think is great for minor league baseball players because, as we've known in the past, they've gotten the shaft coming up through the minors. But yeah, do you have more details on that, Harrison, or no?
Yeah, so I think the basis of this is that the minor leaguers obviously are feeling like they've gotten hosed pretty good lately, and obviously in 2020 they got effectively canceled. So the minor leagues, there's been rumblings the minor leaguers wanted to unionize for a while. MLBPA has been helping them put it all together. What's really interesting is that Rob Manfred came out last week, and MLB is willing to voluntarily recognize the minor league union. They're not going to fight it, not going to argue about it, not going to haggle with them over it. They've basically given the MLBPA their blessing. Go through the process, go through your card checks, get your union established, get your reps picked, and we won't fight you on it. And then we'll work with you guys to actually create a collective bargaining agreement for the minor leagues. And what this will do is now give the minor leaguers, some level of protection. They're going to have to talk about all the same kind of stuff that Major League did. Salary requirements and time spent and all that other stuff. But what it's going to do is going to give the minor leaguers at least now a chance to negotiate for a fairer deal and some protections they didn't have before. MLB is totally on board with allowing it to happen, and both sides are hoping to strike a deal where they can actually be unionized before the 2023 minor league season.
Nice.
So that's going to add 5,000 new union members to MLBPA, which the flip side of this is nobody thought MLB would voluntarily just give them the okay for fear that MLBPA would become too powerful a negotiator now that they control the minor leaguers and the major leaguers. But MLB is basically saying we want to continue the labor peace. We're willing to work with Tony Clark and MLBPA on this one and let it happen. So good for the minor leaguers. We'll see what they end up getting in terms of a deal. But it was probably an inevitable thing that thankfully they're just going to have happen now.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's move on to our the fifth inning here, where we are going to talk about our updated playoff races here. Let's start with the Braves and the Mets leapfrogging each other all week here. It was like Braves are in first, Mets are in first. Braves are in first, Mets are in first. So currently the Mets are up by
game and a half.
Oh, they're up a game and a half. Okay.
Game and a half, yep. Because
So
Atlanta lost last night in that crazy game.
Yep. Insane. So how are we feeling down the stretch? Are we still sticking with the Mets down the stretch here? Scherzer's now on the IL. We kind of talked about it a little bit before we came on, but I think his is mostly just rest at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I picked him at the beginning. I mean, they've given me no reason to come off of them. I mean, it's such a, like, you got to be, if you're a Brave, if you play for the Braves, man, I mean, since like June 1st, you've been the best team in baseball. You're on like a pace to win 116 games and you're a game and a half behind in the division. I mean, that's got to be like, what the hell? Like just the absolute streak of wins and series victories that they've gone on. And they're a game and a half behind. I just think it's a testament to the Mets offense. They went, obviously, no question, made some upgrades to the lineup. They knew they needed help offensively. Obviously, the Scherzer is a big one. Taijuan Walker has been really good for them this year for the most part. But I mean, I'm sticking with them. I mean, if the Braves go back or I should say, Braves come back and win the division, so be it. They've earned it. But I'm going to stick with them, and whoever wins it, like I think we said it last week, whoever wins it's going to earn it. I mean, it's not going to be a gimme. So, but I'm going to stick with them. They've given me no reason to come off.
Yeah, the Cubs are losing. I mean, the Mets are losing right now, 5-0 to the Cubs. So, if that game were to go final right now, it'd be a one-game difference in that division. It's going to be a battle to the end. I picked the Braves at the start of the season. I'll stick with the Braves. I think they're an incredibly balanced team. The Mets are, and if I'm the Mets, honestly, and we talked about it a little bit with Scherzer, I might not bring him back to the playoffs. I might ride this out and be okay finishing second in the division and taking a wild card spot and getting healthy, because that Mets team healthy, I think, is better than the Braves. But that Mets team with Denson Dings and Scherzer hurt is not going to be you're not going to be the same team in the playoffs. So it might be good to almost kind of coast a little bit, get healthy, and then push hard to make a run.
Yeah, as we saw last playoffs, when Scherzer was with LA, like you could tell he had dead arm. You could tell he was fatigued. So I think this is very smart for the Mets to rest him this month. I mean, you're in a comfortable place, and I think it's, like I said, I think it's just really smart for the Mets to get their ducks in a row. They're going to the postseason, so get everything set and where it needs to be.
I think the prospect of having that first round bye is tempting. The thought. I mean, it's the first year they're doing this with the kind of upgraded playoff format. Like I said, I think the idea, the hey man, like we get a decent break. I mean, this would be a longer break than they get during the All-Star break. To have that off and kind of slide right into the second round would certainly be a tempting prospect, but I do think if it costs you Scherzer, it's not worth it, obviously. Yep. Right? So if the cost of putting Scherzer and resting him up for the postseason is that you have to play a best-of-3 series in the first round, I mean, I think so be it. You play 162 games to have a chance to go deep into the playoffs, and to give yourself a worse chance just to get the bye. I mean, I don't think they're thinking that way either. I'm just thinking, as a fan, I don't think that would be worth it. So whatever happens, but it's going to be a fun one down the stretch. But I will say I'm ready for playoff baseball. It's a long season. Baseball is a long season. I'm ready for playoff ball.
Scherzer's 37 years old with 15 major league years experience. I mean, he's a guy that he can take the time off. He's not going to come back rusty. But having him healthy, if you can go him and DeGrom healthy back to back in the playoffs, I'll take anybody. I'll take anybody on in a 3-game, 5-game, 7-game series. Anybody.
Well, that's the thing you're looking at too. Like if you're Buck or Billy Epler, like if you're looking at it, you're thinking, okay, we might lose the division. We might we'll put them on the shelf for a little while. It might hurt us a little bit towards the end in September, towards the end of the season, but we can go into that 3-game playoff with. I mean, you're likely going to win it in 2 games.
Yeah.
So we're saving him a month to give him an extra start in the postseason. I mean, that's to me a no-brainer.
It's all about getting that roster and that pitching staff lined up, and if that means you got to take a little extra rest and fall a couple games back. If I'm Buck Showalter, I'm sign me up. I want those guys healthy because nobody wants to see those guys back to back to start a series, and they definitely don't want to see them each twice in a 7-game series. Forget trying to win. I mean, there's 4 wins. There's at least 3 wins in those 4 starts. Yeah, it's just that twosome is nasty.
Yeah. Before we move on from the Braves and the Mets, I just want to bring up that Atlanta game against Seattle the other night.
Amazing.
The Braves score 5 runs in the top of the 9th, and then the Mariners come back in the bottom of the 9th and hit 2 2-run bombs to walk off on the Braves. I mean, wild, dude. It reminded me of like those college games that we were like talking about like earlier. Where it was like, there was 13 runs scored in the top of the 9th, but there was 21 runs scored in the bottom of the 9th. Like,
it was wild.
That home run that J-Rod hit got out in like 48 milliseconds. That thing, you could have hung laundry on that thing.
Even the one, but even the one that Suarez hit to walk it off was a bomb.
Yeah, that was not a cheap one.
Jansen tried to pin him in, and he just launched it.
Yeah. Jansen threw that little friggin' flipping curve, and then Rodriguez just destroyed it.
Yeah, that was on a line.
And then he tried to bust him in, and he turned on the other one. I mean, that you give up 5 in the 9th, and how many teams are like putting their head down going, crap, it wasn't our night, boys. The Mariners come right out, and we don't care.
I don't know if this stat is still true, but it was like at the beginning of the season is like Suarez has the most like home runs since like 2018 or something like that. Like
that's crazy.
Like,
it was Was it for right-handed hit? It was something like
It
that,
was
Nick. You're
something
right.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like maybe for a right-handed hitter
In
or
that
some.
span of
I'll have
time.
to look it up. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
This is crazy, but yeah. All right, so let's get to AL Central here. The Guardians go in this weekend and they sweep the Twins. So a 3-game sweep. The Twins are now in third. The White Sox are now a game and a half behind the Guardians. So
yeah, the Twins are reeling right now.
2.5 now. Okay. So Tony La Russa is supposed to come back at some point. I'd tell the man to stay home at this point.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, don't come in, fall asleep on the bench. Like we're
Yeah,
in a playoff
we're
race, buddy.
better off without you, man. Don't
like
come back.
stay home.
I mean, and if that doesn't tell the White Sox front office everything they need to know moving forward, I mean, so
he's got to be the first guy gone in the offseason, right? Other than Aaron Boone, possibly.
They have to.
Gotta be.
Yeah, I can't.
I'll tell you this: he should be the first one, even including Aaron Boone. And as much as I hate Aaron Boone, at least Aaron Boone's going to win the division.
Right. Yeah.
And if the White Sox do come back, and I don't think they're 2.5 back. I don't think they're going to win the division. But if they find a way to win the division and do it in spite of Tony La Russa, then good Lord, there's no excuse if he's not the first one gone.
Right.
Now the question becomes: if Aaron Boone and Tony La Russa both go, where does Joe Madden land? He go to New York? Is he a Yankees manager?
Oh God, please no. Oh God.
I'm sorry, I had to. There was
maybe send him to Japan with Willie Mo Pena, over there in one of those teams.
The two of those two guys would get along great.
God, man, I don't know.
Could you imagine Joe Madden in New York?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't think that would fit, dude. He would get raked over.
No, I wouldn't fit.
No,
that wouldn't fit.
Maybe Chicago, the White Sox, that one would make sense. A younger team would like him, but
he was in Chicago. I mean, he was with the Cubs for a little while. He was in Chicago.
But I think the White Sox, that team, a lot of younger players, they'd like a guy like him.
Oh, yeah.
A more veteran team, I don't think would.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sporting straight up Guardian stuff right now, dude. I think, I think they got it. I mean, it's crazy.
I do too.
Can I just say right now that if the Guardians end up winning that division, there's got to be some Manager of the Year consideration. There has to be.
Dude,
that team was supposed to be dead and buried at this point in the season.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, but I was, like I said, I went to the game and I was sitting with season ticket holders. And when they found out I was a Red Sox fan, dude, one of the guys turned around and he goes, "What were you guys thinking getting rid of Francona?"
I know.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't.
That had run its course. It's easy to say that now, and I agree with it. But at the time, I mean, he wasn't getting along with management.
No.
I mean, it was hurting his relationship with Theo. It had to happen. Unfortunately, It had to happen.
I agree.
I think Red Sox Nation will always love Tito and have a soft spot for him. But I agree. I think the whole Francona thing had run its course. I think he'd been here a little too long. The team had been a little bit up and down. The front office was fracturing as Theo, was eventually kind of escaping in his gorilla suit. It just that whole thing was over. But boy, he did a lot for Red Sox Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott goes, "When is Albert getting 700?" Well, we're gonna get to him later, but we can jump in now. 697. He's got 3 to go, and we got 3 weeks of baseball left, regular season. 3 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, I'm starting to think it's the last at bat of the regular season here now, the way it's kind of panning out. I mean, he's hitting roughly 1 a week. So, I mean, it's going to be close, dude. I think it's going to be real close. I'd love to see him have a 3 home run game tomorrow and call it good, but I don't know.
Well, I think the cool thing too is a lot of these home runs Albert's hit have meant something. 697 put them ahead in a game that they were struggling to get a lead in. And when you look at it, so rest of the year for the Cardinals, you got 2 coming up on the road. I'm sorry, at home against the Brewers. You got 5 at home against the Reds.
There's 2 home runs there.
Makeup game. Then you go on the road to San Diego, for 3, LA for 3, the Brewers for 2, and then you're back home to wrap up with the Pirates. I mean, he could, in reality, with the Brewers and the Reds in town, I mean, he could come out of this week with 699. He's gonna face some BP pitching. So I don't know. I think he does it before that final week, but he's got a very favorable schedule for the next week.
I'll say he does it in San Diego.
Huh. That'd be a good one.
Yep.
I'll say he does it in San Diego.
I'm gonna say he'll do it in LA, and that fan base, because he was there, will love it.
Oh yeah, they will.
I'm gonna say he does it on his last homestand against the Pirates.
Yeah, wrap up on Adam Wainwright bobblehead night.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, he better get to 700. I don't care. Like I said a couple weeks ago,
I just carry past
A-Rod. I don't care. He's
Yeah,
fast.
I mean, it went from when the trade happened, and it went from like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he went on a run and did it with the Cardinals? That'd be so cool. And then he became a big part of that offense. And it's crazy to say at his age, but he did. And I know it's Goldie, and I know it's Arenado, and I know it's Tyler O'Neill, and all those guys. I mean, those guys are. I mean, 2 of them are MVP candidates, for crying out loud. But he's fit. He fits right into that lineup.
He does,
and he hasn't really missed a beat.
No.
And I love that he's doing it in St. Louis. I absolutely love that he's doing it in St. Louis. So yeah, I mean, it went from wouldn't it be cool if to it's going to be awesome when, and I can't wait for it.
I mean, he was sitting there.
I apologize. They finish up home against the Pirates, then they actually go back to Pittsburgh for 3 more. That's then the regular season's over.
Well, I'm still sticking last homestand, but
yep.
I mean, there was a point where it's he was sitting at 683, and I was like, I don't know if he's got 17 in the tank.
Yeah,
right.
I really don't. And now it's he's got 17 in the tank.
Yeah, he's feeling it.
Well, he had that late July through mid-August where he hit him in bunches. He had 5 in 7 games or something like that. Remember he had that really crazy bunched up. And then it became a reality. Then it became from a hope to oh my God, he just put himself way ahead the pace now. That was huge.
Yeah, there was Nick from the SOS podcast put out. He's a couple weeks ago we were all saying that Aaron Judge was going to get to 62 before Pujols was going to get to 700. Now it's flipped hard, and he's does Albert get to 700? And I jokingly off the cuff, I was I think Albert gets to 800 with everybody giving him BP fastballs down the middle these last 3 weeks. The Cardinals aren't in a race anymore. Those games don't matter. The Cardinals are running away with the NL Central.
Yeah, they're up 8.
Yeah, they are.
It's not going to surprise me if Tyler Stevens sitting behind the dish in Cincinnati being fastball inside corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the MLB is going to give them those Sunday night baseballs that got a little extra pep in them, here you go, hit these as far as you can. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah. And I think Judge getting to 62 will be tough.
He's slowed down.
Just because with all the pitching around him. Right. I mean, I still am surprised, and I haven't watched as many Yankee games this past month as I had early in the year, just because they're so difficult to watch lately. They've been so frustrating to watch. And I've even been surprised with the pitches he does get to hit, and it's not that many. And it's just going to get. I mean, as the season winds down, and we're getting through this last month, it's going to be less and less. So he's really going to have to take advantage of the mistake pitches that are made to him, and pretty much convert a good chunk of those opportunities for him to get to 62. But with the season he's having, I'm not going to put it past him. I really am not.
Right.
No.
So we'll see.
And the Yankees schedule, I mean, they're definitely now in a race for the division. I mean, they've got a 5-game lead, so it's not like they're about to fall out, but they're a bad week away from being in trouble. Mm-hmm. So they go to Boston for 2, they go to Milwaukee for 3, they're home to see Pittsburgh for 2, Boston for 4, they're on the road in Toronto for 3, they're home against the Orioles for 3, and they finish on the road with Texas for 4. They're going to have some big games down the stretch to continue to fight off the Rays and Blue Jays. The Orioles are still kind of on the outside. they're still very much in a race here, and the Yankees are going to need him. So if he's going to hit, they're going to need him to hit 62 probably to get them through this stretch in good shape.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I certainly think they're going to need him. No question about that. It's just what he's going to need is the rest of the offense to become more consistent threats. I mean, why would you pitch to him? I mean,
I've been saying that for weeks. I don't know why.
I know you have. You absolutely have. There's no need to pitch to him.
No.
So regardless of yes, they're still in a race. There's no question about that. But I mean, if you're the Sox, it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Got a 2-game series starting tomorrow. I mean, if you're the Sox, you're certainly out of it. You're not. But yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be better to ruin some Yankee dreams here? Make
Absolutely.
some, clench them a little bit tighter if you're the Yankees. Pitch around them. Don't give them anything to hit. No, make the other guys do it. And I think until they can start consistently doing it, teams aren't going to give him anything to hit. And the only thing he's going to get are mistakes.
Yeah, this is the old Bill Belichick school, which is do not let the best player beat you. Make somebody else beat you. Take away the best player. Do not, don't be throwing Aaron Judge fastballs down the middle. You're living on the edge, and if you walk him, that's okay. But you can't keep throwing this guy these friggin' hanging sliders and fastballs down the middle and those kinds of mistake pitches because he's the only guy that's
hanging sliders. But hanging sliders are going to happen, unfortunately. I mean, that's just. I mean, baseball is a hard sport, So that's what he's going to have to take advantage of, though. If I'm pitching against him, he might see one fastball a series.
Oh yeah.
And the fastball he sees is going to be on a 3-0 pitch, and it's going to be at his eyeballs. And if he wants to swing, go for it. But that's it. He's not. I mean, everything's outside in the dirt. If he chases, he chases, and you just try to limit the mistakes. And that's why baseball's so hard. Is even when they make a mistake, if you mishit it, it's an out, and that's kind of what you got to hope for him because the rest of the lineup, isn't consistently going to get it done. So I just think it's an uphill battle for him to get those next 7 over the next 3 weeks, just because I'm not sure how many legitimate chances he's going to see.
Yeah. I mean, if I was pitching Aaron Judge right now, dude, I'd be just rolling him in there. Go ahead, take your base.
Oh sure.
Well, and you got a lot of pitchers that are trying to make a name for themselves by going after him, and we've seen where that ends up. I want to be the guy that makes Aaron Judge go for 4. Well, you're not that guy because all the other guys before you haven't done it either.
Right. Yeah. True.
All right. Moving on. The Dodgers clinched the NL. Oh wait. No, they didn't.
Oops.
The Dodgers clinched the NL West, or they thought, and they have a huge celebration in the locker room. And then MLB comes out and goes, actually, there's a scenario where the Padres could still win the West. And they're like, oh, oops.
I mean, we're talking formalities here, folks.
I know the Dodgers, the magic number's 1, but I still think it's funny. It's just they celebrate, and MLB is like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, San Diego's 20 games out.
Yeah, it's not happening, but I just thought that was hilarious.
But I mean, what an MLB moment. Tell me your Major League Baseball without telling me your Major League Baseball, and have the magic number miscalculated and let these guys go ahead and celebrate before you catch on. I mean, is anybody fact checking this? Where's the Elias Sports Bureau checking in on the calculations? That's just wild.
I just loved it. That was great. Yeah. So I mean, the Dodgers will clinch tonight or tomorrow. I don't even think the Padres have a game tonight, and they'll still find a way to lose a game. But yeah. So it was kind of cool. But
Bo Bichette just took a fastball off his helmet brim.
Nice.
Oof.
Oh, he's not happy.
What's been up? Vladdy's been has he been extra defensive lately? Have you seen clips of him in these games? He's been flying out of the dugout at all these guys lately. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but he just seems like every time somebody gets hit, it's on purpose. And it could be. I don't know. I'm not in the dugout in the trenches.
In his defense, he and Bo Bichette have been getting a lot of pitches up and in lately to get him off the plate, and he is becoming a little sensitive to it. And that here's a great example. Guerrero rips a line drive into the right center field gap for a double. 2 pitches later, Bo Bichette takes one literally off of his helmet brim, and Guerrero's screaming from second base because it's what they've been dealing with. Pitchers are busting them up and in to get them off the plate because those guys can hit, and
Right.
Vladdy doesn't like that anymore. He's tired of it. So because they have gotten hit a lot lately, a lot.
Yeah. Well, stop that.
Yeah, they have. I mean, I don't blame them.
It's
they're
annoying.
people too. They're people too, right? And you got to take
Yeah.
into the. I mean, they're probably frustrated at that really disappointing middle of the season that they had that really
Yeah.
kind of cost them a chance
Killed
to
him.
make a legitimate run at the division. And they're probably frustrated. I mean, they're young kids that had high expectations this year coming in, and they had a great start. I mean, they started off hot. It was you don't want to see the Blue Jays in April and May, and the Yankees were the Yankees, but the Blue Jays weren't that far behind them. I mean, they were playing really good baseball early on, and then they kind of had that really bad chunk of time there, and it really cost them a chance. So he's probably frustrated at that. They're playing better now at the end, and they're seeing that, hey, this is the way we played all year. We should have had a chance at this, and it's frustrating. And they're probably pressurizing themselves a little bit, and then they're getting all these pitches up and in. I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah. No, and he's just getting a little sensitive to it, and he's frustrated for all those points. And you're right. They had that probably 6-week stretch where they were just terrible. And here they sit 6 games out when in reality they probably gave up that many games this summer. So, their season's a lot different. Their manager's still there. If they had not hit the skids there, but a team that's comfortably in the wild card could make some noise.
We think about the skid. Yeah, we think about the skid that they went on. Kind of coincided with the Yankees starting to play really poor baseball, and we think about. I mean, they win 60% of the games that they lost. I mean, we're talking about probably a 2.5, 3.5 game difference right now between those two. That's it. That's your shot.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to 7th inning. Before that, I guess speaking of Terry Francona, since we brought him out, I just got a message from Bleacher Report saying the Bleacher Report caption just says, "Count how many F-bombs during this umpire tirade." I guess Francona just went off on an umpire.
Francona,
love it.
The only guy I enjoyed going after umpires more was I guess 2
Jim Leland.
Leland was good, but I used to love Lou Piniella and friggin' Lloyd McClendon. Those guys would absolutely lose their shit on the regular.
No. Jim. I mean, give Jim Leland any day of the week, twice on Sundays. Give me this guy's ripping heaters in the dugout, and then he's going at the umpires. And then you guys have, the famous one where he's in Detroit and he's arguing with the ump, nose to nose, yelling, screaming. They start "God Bless America." He stops, takes his hat off, listens to the whole song. The song ends. He puts his hat back on and goes back at the guy. It was the greatest. It was the greatest umpire confrontation of all time. The greatest.
But I think Jim Leland is a lot like Jack McKeon. Those guys could tear an umpire apart, very put together. Where you had Piniella and McClendon picking up bases, throwing shit, kicking dirt, just losing their minds. But no,
I think
Leland was epic. But Francona's got a way of doing it that's entertaining.
My personal favorite, just because I saw him every day, was Bobby Cox, dude. I mean, when that guy went off, dude, the roly poly just waddles out there and then just rips it. Dude, loved him. But anyways, players of the week. Got sidetracked there. Players of the week, Harrison.
Players of the week. All right. In the American League, we had Bo Bichette. He had, let's see. So he had Bo Bichette. This is actually his first time winning Player of the Week award. 6 hits, 7 RBIs across both games with doubleheader sweep of Baltimore on Monday. He had the first 3-homer game of his career in that same night and a 4-hit game on Tuesday. He literally single-handedly carried the Blue Jays to really what was a really good week. They're 8-2 in their last 10. He hit his 5th home run of the week on Friday against Texas. Followed it up with 3 more doubles on Saturday and a single on Sunday. Quite a week. Then you had Freddie Freeman winning in the National League. In 6 games last week, he was 12 for 22, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 4 walks, only K'd 3 times. He had a hit in every game he played in, multi-hit games in 4 of the 6 games. And then on Saturday, he drove in 4 runs, including a home run as part of a 4-hit day against the Padres. which is interesting because when you looked at Freddie Freeman's numbers this year, his power was way down. He was hitting for a good average. His on-base percentage was way down, and the last month, his power's come roaring back, and he's hitting home runs again. He's driving the ball with authority. He's not just hitting a bunch of base hits like he was, and he's been really good for them the last really solid 4 or 5 weeks.
I think this is his second player of the week in 4 weeks.
It's his second in a month, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say he just won it a couple weeks ago, but.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to our rounding third question of the week, which was all the rule changes. So now we will talk about the rule changes that the MLB did approve. So the first rule change was the pitch clock, 15 seconds without runners on base, 20 seconds with runners on base. Now they just have 20 seconds to get to the set, correct? They don't have to pitch the ball in 20 seconds.
Well,
right? They just have to.
Well, but they went. There's more to that. You can only disengage a certain number of times with a runner on.
Right.
So that disengage is a step off and a throw over. I think it's, let's say 3 times. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's 3 times.
Okay.
So let's say
I have an issue with that one.
Oh yeah, don't get me started. Let's say you step off, you want to review the signs. Oh, I had the conversion was wrong for what I have with the catcher. Step off, got to redo the signs. All right, that's once. You throw over a second time. Let's say that's a limit. Well, now you can't throw over again. I mean, why are we not running on the pitch? I mean, you just run whenever you want. If he disengages to throw it second, it's a balk. They have to fix that. I don't like that. That can't be the rule.
No.
Because not only with a pitch clock, you're allowing runners to time things up. In a way. I mean, it's right. There's I've been to some minor league games with the pitch clock, and it's loose in that. So I mean, it does help it doesn't help the runner as much as I would have thought it was going to. But this rule about disengaging, there has to be caveats to that.
I feel as soon as you come to the set, the clock
twice per batter.
Yeah,
twice per batter.
As soon as you come to the set, there's no clock. And there's no limit on disengaging. That's stupid. That is the dumbest thing ever.
Well, so to Sean's point, the major finding with the clocks was exactly what Sean just said. They were seeing more stolen bases and more successful attempts at a much higher rate than they'd seen any previous 5-year period. So that the outcome of it is that they're timing up the clock to get the better jump. Now, is that perfect? No, because it doesn't mean a guy doesn't deliver the pitch at 18 versus 20 or whatever. Right. But, they've got to be in motion to deliver a pitch by that 20-second mark. The other interesting part of it, too, is that one thing that as I read this, I found interesting. So it's a 30-second clock between hitters. The catcher must be in the box and ready with 9 seconds left in the timer. Well, the hitter has to have both feet in the box and be alert to the pitcher within 8 seconds of the clock starting. So when your catchers walk out in front of home plate and give signs and all that, and they're chatting and they're trying to move things around, they've got 20 seconds to do that and get back behind the plate. Now, is that enough time? Probably. But, late in the game, do you want the catcher rushing through the signs because he's got to get both feet back in the box? I mean, it's going to be the little stupid stuff like that that's going to drive some people crazy.
Catchers aren't really doing that much now, though. I mean, because they have all those electronic things with the vibrating thing and the pitcher's hat, and Lindor wears one at shortstop. So they have those kind of things to keep catchers kind of in the box to speed things along and make it a little bit more efficient. And then, I mean, obviously you can't steal the signs when they're done that way too. Right. I don't know if that's going to have a huge impact. I mean, we'll see. To me, when I was reading through them, I'll be honest, to me, the big one was the disengaging twice per batter. I mean, and let's say you've already done it twice, and there's a guy on first, and he knows you can't step off. He knows you can't throw over. So he obviously gets the best jump because he's going on first movement because he knows you can't come over, and he's safe at second. I mean, why is he not doing it again at third? It's the same batter. You're letting a guy in 2 pitches steal two bases with getting a ridiculously good jump. There has to be something other than that. There has to be something that levels it out on the pitcher's catcher side, because to me that's just incredibly unfair.
So for my view, it's the umpires can't even call balls and strikes correctly, and you're asking them to police one more thing. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, there's that. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's the other aspect for me. Anyways.
The way I understood this is the timer is actually enforced up in the booth. So somebody's watching the timer and he's buzzing down to the umpire that they violated it and it's an automatic ball. But to clarify the pitch clock, it's not just coming to a set position. Before that timer expires, the pitcher has to begin a motion towards home plate. So slide step, leg kick, something. They have to begin their motion to home plate before that time clock expires, or it's an automatic ball. The hitter's got to be ready.
I'm going to tell.
Got to be ready.
I'm going to tell you what I tinfoil hat here. I think this
I love
is
the
a
tinfoil hat.
I don't know how serious Major League Baseball is about implementing something like this in a long term. I part of me is wondering, is this something that they kind of got together with the player association, with the owners, with everybody, and they say, look, we got to do something to try and appease these people that shit all over our game, right? They're telling us it's too long. They're telling us, look at what's happening in the minor league. They're relentless with it. And I wonder if it's baseball's way of going, you know what, let's put this in for a year or two. And we're going to prove that it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It doesn't shave much more than a few minutes off of a game. And, maybe just have it for a couple of years and then kind of phase it back out. I don't know how that would work. I can't imagine people high up in Major League Baseball offices want something like this. Like, this is a pretty big change. This isn't just like changing the size of the bases a little bit to make it a little bit safer for the runners and the base paths. Like, I have zero issue with that. And people that have an issue with that, to me, are just nitpicking things for the sake of nitpicking things. Like, the size of the bases, to me, makes not a difference in the world.
You're not going to
really
even
doesn't.
notice it either.
And if you're doing it for the safety of people not, like, taking out the guy turning double play, like, I'm all for it. But, like, these are major changes. Like, telling a pitcher he can only disengage twice per batter. I mean, you've already made some pretty significant changes when it comes to managers, limiting the amount of times they can go to the bullpen. I mean, that used to be a big part. And I get that it added minutes onto the game. And I get that it broke things up. And I get that it didn't make things as efficient and smooth as the casual fan would like. Like, I get that. But it's a big part of baseball. I mean, that's why you build a team with a really good back end of the bullpen, and you hire a manager that knows how to manage that. I mean, that's a big part of why teams win World Series. And you're just taking that out. And now you're taking out a pitcher's ability to control a run game. So I don't – that's the one I don't like. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how they enforce it. We'll see kind of – I don't know. But I'm very skeptical on that, and I don't think I'm going to like it.
When you get into the details of this rule change, there's a lot here. I included a link in the chat to the actual detailed breakdown of the proposal. But, I mean, you got – you're going to have automatic balls and strikes called for violations of it. You got to have certain times where batters and catchers have to be in the box. You can 2 disengagements per plate appearance unless runners move. So if there's a stolen base or
there's that.
Advances, that resets, so you get 2 again. But if you make a third pickoff attempt or you step off or you've got like a fly in your nose and step off the plate, that's the runner automatically advances 1 base. So if you disengage a third time for any reason, they're moving that runner for you. It's effectively like a balk. You're moving a runner. It's interesting. So I included the details here. It's going to be a hell of a thing to enforce. It is going to have impacts on the game. It does alter things a little bit. You won't have as much of the catcher walking halfway out to talk to the pitcher to calm him down. You won't have as much of that other stuff going on. But they did see in minor league baseball, on average, it reduced the length of the game by 26 minutes. And MLB thinks they can cut 30 plus minutes out of a game, which I think if they do, people would watch more. But if you've altered the game, so the minor league saw a 10% improvement in the steal rate and almost 1 more stolen base per game because of the timer. So, but if you significantly alter the game, I'm not sure what it does to your true fans that don't care if the game goes 3 hours.
But then it works the other way, right? Because then now you have more runs scored, which takes longer. You have more runners in scoring position, and then you get into
your pitchers are going to get into more of a consistent rhythm, which is going to be more comfortable for batters, more comfortable for runners,
But let me ask you this though. Let me like watching. I mean, I feel like the three of us collectively watch a good chunk of Major League Baseball games on a very regular basis. I mean, how often are we seeing pitchers disengage 3+ times per at bat? Maybe once a game.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, a few,
I mean,
a
if
few
you're
times max.
with the fact that like there isn't much of a run game right now, save for a few guys, but like there's not a consistent run game like there was in the 90s.
No.
Like you don't have, there's not 1-2 guys per roster that are put in situations late in game to swipe a bag. It's just not part of the game that much anymore.
Right.
No,
So pitchers don't really control the game. We're not seeing pitchers that are really trying to mess with tempo to throw off a run game. We're not seeing it. And if pitchers are stepping off once, twice, 3 times per inning, let alone per at bat, but
It's
stepping
to
off
fix
2
their
or 3
pitch
times per
com.
inning, it's to do that. And it's only going to happen for 1 inning, because if they're not on the same page, they're going to fix it in between innings.
Yep.
And then by the next time they come out, they're going to be fine. Like I don't see. Again, I've watched a ton of baseball this year, and I've never looked at the length of a game and be like, oh, they need to cut down. The pitcher is inefficient with his movements. Like that's why like tinfoil hat me is just like, I think they're just putting this on the books just to kind of see and appease some people.
Yeah.
I look at minor league. You said what, 26 minutes, Harrison?
Yep.
They saw on average a shave off. I look at that though. I mean, minor leagues, dude, particularly like the single A, the double A, even below, like the high A level, like these are young players that are training themselves to become major league players. Like they have to make sure they're going to get it right. They're getting their, the pickoff move. They're getting it right. They're not just practicing it in the bullpen. They're making sure they're doing it to hone their skill. You get up to the major league level, these skills are honed. Like people aren't training themselves how to pick someone off at the major league level. Like they're not throwing over 5 times to practice their move.
And the last time I went to a minor league game, the game was barely over 2 hours. I mean, 26 minutes is like cutting a quarter of the game off. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, like I just don't see it. I don't see it shaving that much time off a major league game. I really don't. No. Maybe I'm way off base, but I don't know, man. I watch a ton of baseball. I just don't see 26 minutes in there that you're saving.
No, and gone are the days of John Lester stepping off 5 times because he didn't want to throw over. But
right.
I think in the regular season, you're right, Sean. There's probably maybe once a game where a pitcher disengages more than twice. Maybe it's a few times late in the game if it's close, but it's going to be in the playoffs that you start to see this become a problem. And there's nothing in here saying they have to enforce these rules for the playoffs. They may just take them off the table, because you don't want to lose a game on a friggin' stolen base because the guy can't disengage to make a move. Like, it just seems like that would be silly. But I agree. I think baseball is.
Did we lose him? I thought he was like choosing his words carefully.
Yeah, right.
Like he's just not talking.
Ball like that.
There.
Yeah. We did get 2 answers. We got Henry LaRose said pitch clock is great. Minor league games have it and have been entertaining with it. And then Jim said it's fantastic and way overdue. Speed the game the fuck up. It's also going to be fun to listen to the pitchers cry about this like they did with Spider Tack. So thought that was a funny answer.
Well,
the guy that cry about it most is Trevor Bauer, who's not here anymore.
I think the Spider Tack thing, though, like I think the pitchers Spider Tack, maybe not specifically to Spider Tack, but like something to help them grip the ball. Like I think they have a legitimate complaint in that sense. Like, I mean, if I'm throwing 98, I'd like to know where it's going.
Yes,
and if I'd like to be able to control the baseball, and maybe the particular substance that was getting extra RPMs, maybe that particular substance, but like the overall sense that a pitcher wants to be able to control the ball, like, yeah, no shit. Like I agree with that.
Dude, I don't know how much ball is like throwing a cue ball out there. The seams are non-existent, and like I would want to have something sticky on my hands for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure how much the pitchers are going to complain about this. I think if anything, you're taking away a batter's ability to throw off a pitcher's groove. I mean, you see it all the time, even still in today's game, which not as much as you used to. But, I mean, you see a pitcher that's just kind of in a groove. I mean, you're stepping out. You're throwing his timing off. You're trying to just get him kind of out of his rhythm. I mean, that's a big part of getting up there as a hitter. And you're taking away a hitter's ability to do that. which
Well-
to me is going to be, it's going to be, I think, harder on the hitter than it. I don't think that's going to impact pitchers all that much, to be honest. I really don't.
Well, and what's funny to that point, though, is that nothing in the rule mentions how many times a batter can disengage. How many times can a hitter put his hand up and call time and back out? Like
The
they
umpire
don't
doesn't
actually
have
have-
to grant it.
Well,
He
that's
doesn't,
right. Yeah,
you're right.
that's right. And you're,
But
I mean, and I think,
how often don't they?
I think, well, I'm seeing it much more this year that they're not. Like I'm wondering if, I don't even think they put it in as a rule, but I'm even wondering if in the offseason and during spring training, Major League Baseball said to the umps, like, hey, unless you have to, let these guys hit. Like, let's keep the game going. Because I've even made comments to myself this year watching games being like, I mean, they're asking for time. And as the season's gotten longer, players just aren't really asking for it as much as they used to, because they know they're probably not going to get it.
No, it's like I'm watching this. I got this Rays and Jays game up, and I don't think I've seen a pitcher tonight that's taken more than 20 seconds to deliver a pitch.
Right.
And there hasn't been a lot of step offs. I think there's been one throw over. I think there's a lot of that rule doesn't necessarily matter. There's going to be situations where it does, and we'll see how it goes.
I mean, my fear, and again, I say this half jokingly, but tinfoil hat me, like my fear in the next 10 years is Major League Baseball starts saying you get 3 fouls and then it's a strikeout on the 4th foul ball.
Yeah,
I mean, we're just trending towards
league softball.
We're just, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the other rule changes real quick here. Bigger bases. I don't like people again complaining about it. You're not going to realize that the bases are bigger. Like we did the comparison a few months ago, I think during the off season when it was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we put the 2 bases next to each other. Is it bigger? Yeah. But when all 3 are bigger, you're not going to notice it. It's unnoticeable when it's on the field that far away. Stop complaining about it. Okay. Third,
it's not like this is gonna be softball that we get like the double base. Like this is
right. Exactly.
It's a little bit bigger.
And then the third one, I am back and forth on this one. They did ban the shift. Henry said the shift ban is awesome, but it will benefit certain players more than others. And then Jim said it will make the game more exciting and create offense. Just about every sport has some sort of rule against illegal defense, and this is no different. So that's an interesting kind of take on it. However, my thing is this. This is my comparison. You have 11 guys on a football field, all right? Monday Night Football right now, and the Seahawks are on defense, right? They can put their guys any way they want on the defensive side of on the ball. Like it doesn't, if they want to single file their line, like their guys right behind the center, all the way back to the goalpost, they can do that if they want. Like, I feel like that should be the same thing with baseball. If you want 9 outfielders, put 9 outfielders out there. You want 9 infielders, bring in 9 infielders. Like, I mean, the rule change says that, so 2 people have to be on each side of second base with their feet on the dirt before the pitch is thrown.
So what happens? So does that mean they could, how sometimes in late games, like, you'll bring like an outfielder in to make kind of like a 5th infielder. Is that like a legal defense? Because in that case, you would still have 2 on each side.
Yeah.
Right,
so real quick, so the 3 major points to this is that upon a pitch, there must be a minimum of 4 defenders other than the catcher and the pitcher with both feet within the infield dirt boundary. So you can no longer put your second baseman in short right field. They have to be in the dirt. They can't be on the outfield grass. There must be 2 of the 4 infielders on each side of second base. And the team must designate 2 infielders for each side of second base, and they cannot switch. It's like you can't have
all game or just for that pitch.
It's got to be for that particular hitter. It's like you can't have a shortstop and second baseman flip pitch to pitch. Like once you're designated to be on the left side, you stay. Well, because what they don't want to have happen is they don't want to have teams take a better defender, and rather than shift, you'll just have them swap positions. Because we don't want players to. We don't want to use our players to the best of their ability. That correct.
is, You can't have that.
So if you're the Red Sox, you can't say
to the best of their ability.
Right. So
if you're the Red Sox, you can't say.
You can't have Trevor Story on the right hand side for this batter, and then have Xander switch spots with him and play the right hand side for the next batter. Once they're designated to be one side or the other, they've got to stay there.
No, I totally agree with baseball. I mean, if I'm going to pay this guy $30-something million a year, they need to tell me how I can use him. I totally agree. I absolutely agree with baseball. Absolutely agree.
It's crazy.
So
And they're doing all this because in 20 years, the batting average in balls in play has dropped 10 points. Maybe they should make the ball bigger so guys don't strike out. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, I think you've made the point earlier in the year in regards to the shift in the batting average of balls in play, and it really isn't that much different.
No, a couple points
since the shift took off. And, I think the numbers are there to support that, like, good hitters are going to hit good, and then bad hitters are going to hit bad, and then average hitters are going to hit average. And what's going to happen is where these defenders are lined up isn't going to make that much of a difference. But what you are doing, though, is you're hamstringing teams defensively to say, hey, you know what? Like, I have a really good player that does X, Y, Z really well, but now I can't put him in that position because Major League Baseball wants Joey Gallo to get a couple more hits a year. Like, I don't.
Gallo for MVP.
And I don't agree with the illegal defense take. I don't. The only way that there would be illegal defense is if they put an extra guy out there. Right. That's against the rule. That's illegal.
Right. No, I agree.
Like, I don't. I mean, to your football analogy, Nick. I mean, imagine if the NFL came out and they were just like, hey, like, we don't care who is on offense or where that offense is lined up. You have to have at least 3 linebackers on the field. Well, that's not fair.
Right. And they have to be in these areas. They can't go anywhere else.
Right. Now every offense is just going to put 5 wide receivers out and just get 3 mismatches every single play. Like, that's not fair. Like, I should be able, when I play defense, I should be able to adjust to what you are doing on offense. And it's the same thing in baseball, essentially. If you're going to put a hitter up there, that literally can't hit the ball the other way, like, why are you forcing me to put half my defense on the other side of the field? I shouldn't have to do that.
No, I'm 1,000%.
If you're Joey Gallo and 85% of the balls you hit are to the right side of second base, I should be able to put 9 guys over there if I really want to, or I guess 7 guys because you need a pitcher and a catcher. But if I want to put everybody on the right-hand side of second base and completely sell out the left-hand side, why can't I do that? I dare you to hit it to left field, Joey Gallo. I dare you.
But that was the freedom of baseball, right? There's nothing in the rules saying you even needed a catcher.
Fair, yeah. You could just throw the ball to the backstop if you wanted to.
Right? I mean, but now, like, you do. Like, it's.
And he's got to have both feet in the box at a certain time.
I mean, however, like, you're still going to be able to shade these guys, right? Yeah. You can still put your shortstop or second baseman up the middle. You can still put that guy in the hole. As long as they're on this side of second base, he's an inch on this side of second base as the pitch is thrown, and then you can move.
And in the dirt,
too,
though.
Think about it.
If you're
the second baseman on a dead pull left-handed hitter, you can't step outside of the dirt. You're just going to get missiles ripped at you by some of these guys, and you got no range.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that one's interesting to me. I mean, like you said, like, it's 10 points in the batting average. And honestly, you can argue the reason that there's 10 points dip is because everybody's dipping and lifting. Like, the approach of baseball has changed, and it's not the shift. It's it's easier to hit a solo shot off Justin Verlander than it is to get 5 hits in a row to score a run.
Yeah,
like, that's just how it is.
In 22 years, the batting average on balls in play has dropped 10 points. And the batting average, it's probably dropped 20 points based on just strikeouts alone. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's the game's not the same, and you're comparing a completely different thing, and you're making changes to the game based on kind of a false premise and to Sean's point, he nailed it. You're basically now telling managers how they can and can't manage their defense, how they can and can't use their players, and you're taking range away, you're taking the chance to play defense away, and 80% of the time it won't matter because they don't shift on everybody. But for those guys they shift on, you're giving them an unfair advantage. And we'll see. I'll be curious when they look back in the year, did the batting average go up at all? I bet it probably doesn't move more than a point or two, in which case, the hell are we doing?
The amount
And I'll tell you,
the amount of hits that are saved with the shift are given up because there's a swing and bunt down the third baseline. Like,
Probably.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, could be.
it's stupid. It's
It
dumb.
is stupid.
and I'll tell you, I think more than anything else, more than the pitch clock, more than the disengaging per batters, more than the spider tag or anything else, I think this is the one thing you're going to hear the most unison complaint from pitchers, because not only are you telling my defenders where they can and cannot line up, but you're essentially dictating the way that I'm pitching to these hitters.
Right.
I mean, if you have a shift on a dead pull hitter, you're pitching them a certain way.
Yeah.
Like now you're dictating that. Like now, if you're a pitcher, you have to be extra precise. Like you have to be extra precise with that ball because you don't have that guy in short right field now.
You don't.
Right.
Like you're not like, so I think that more than anything else is what you're going to hear more in unison from
Totally
these
fair.
pitchers over the next coming years. I don't like the pitch. I'm sorry, I don't like the shift, and I really don't like the disengaging. But the bases I give a shit about. But the other two, I don't like. I mean, we'll see. But
the last thing I'll say on this is that the one thing I loved about baseball was the freedom. You could play how you liked, you could position, you could maneuver, you could do all these things. And the other piece is baseball was never played with a clock. It was the only sport you didn't play with a clock.
that's right.
And now you got a goddamn clock.
Yeah, soon enough there will be. Soon enough, part of whatever inning is also going to be, hey, how much time is left? It's not what inning it is. It's going to be how much time. And I shit you not, man.
You've got
that's
3
coming.
outs or 10
And
minutes and your inning's over. It's going to be stupid.
And I hate that.
Stupid like
It's
that.
coming, and I'm going to, and I think Major League Baseball is counting on the fact that the diehard fans will always be the diehard fans. And for the most part, they've been right about that. So they just keep fucking with the rules. But you're going to get to a point, man, where the gaining of an average fan is going to cost you your diehard baseball fans. And this is, I think, going to be the start of it,
Yeah.
And it's something simple. It's the shift, yes, but it's what's behind, like the idea behind it is, I think, what bothers me more than anything else. Because I don't think you're going to see a drastic dip in play. I don't think you're going to see a drastic change in scores of games or, numbers of these individual players year over year. Like, I don't think you're going to see a big change.
No.
But it's the premise behind, the idea behind baseball. Now, taking to what you guys said, one of the greatest things about baseball is the freedom, and then saying that you can't do that. I don't like that. I don't like them dictating where players can play in the field.
And there's a cause and effect to everything. Like, baseball was such a beautiful and pure game before. And when you change something so minute, to your point, Sean, now it changes pitching, which now the ripple effect down the whole entire game. It changes the whole flow of the game. And it sucks. And like you said, it's for the casual fan, which, okay, great. Like, I understand we're trying to cater to everybody, but like, at what point does it become banana ball? It starts becoming a gimmick, right?
And the casual fan doesn't give a crap about the nuances and intricacies of the game. They don't care about the history. This is the same fan who can't figure out why everybody wears number 42 one day a year. Like, that's the fan you're going to attract. Is that who you want? Maybe you just want to fill the stadium with people who don't give a crap about the history of the game. But ask the NBA how that's worked out, because most of your NBA fans don't give a crap about basketball. They're watching it because it's all part of rap culture, and they like LeBron. They don't know the game of basketball. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I the casual fan thing I agree with, in the sense that, like, how do I the casual fan that you're gaining isn't going to sit and watch a game that's 3 hours and 10 minutes, but not watch a game that's 3 hours and 20 minutes, right? Like, the casual fan is the casual fan because they think baseball's boring. They can sit there and tell you that, the games last too long. And people I used to work with at my old job, you say it all the time. Oh, I don't know how you do it. I can't watch baseball. It's too long. It's too boring, is what they would say. It's too boring. I don't know how you can sit there for all those hours and watch a game that's so boring. And then I said, well, it's the game within the game that I love about baseball.
Oh, I love it.
It's setting hitters up in the first inning for their at-bat in the seventh inning. Or it's the intricacies between bringing a guy out of a bullpen to face a particular guy, or a catcher calling certain pitches to keep a runner at first base and not give him the option to steal, like things like that like I'm all in for.
Yep.
And you can tell me that you think it's too long, but it's because it's boring. They think it's boring. And that's fine. You can think baseball is boring. I don't care about that. But putting these rules in to shave 10 minutes off, this lady that I used to work with ain't watching any more baseball games, and she's already watching this year or last.
She's still not going to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
you're right.
So you're alienating the people that love the game. I don't understand the mindset behind it.
MLB is going to be better off with fewer, more passionate fans than a bunch of people that watch the game twice a year and buy a jersey.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the people that watch a game twice a year are buying a goddamn jersey, whether you change the rules or not, because they think the shortstop has a nice ass. So they're buying the jersey anyway.
Yeah.
So
or
who
because
cares?
everybody
Like, you're
says
getting your
Ohtani's
jersey
awesome.
still.
I mean, have you ever seen
Like,
me in
you're-
baseball pants?
Oh yeah, I have.
Nick
we're
Arno's
not-
rocking that bubble butt.
That's right, baby.
But like I don't see what you're gaining
Yeah.
by doing all of it. I mean, the only thing that, unless it's come out and it's not come out like this, but unless the TV deals, unless the TV deals have come to Major League Baseball being like, listen, we can't sign a new deal because your games are less than 3.5 hours.
No.
We need you to get them down to a ABC number, and then we'll re-sign a deal. If that's the case, that's the only way I can see Major League Baseball. Okay, we have to do it.
The irony
I
of
don't
it
think
is,
that's the case.
well, the irony of it is the TV stations like when the games go longer and there's more breaks because they run more ads.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
You want to
But
make
I'm
7
just saying- I'm just
changes.
trying to think
do it.
outside
We'll
the
keep
box.
running ads. Yeah, no,
Right. I'm just trying to think outside the box. Like if that's if that's the case, then so be it. But
MLB is doing this solely out of fan feedback, is what they call it.
yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
we're all baseball fans here. Not a single one of us asked for any of these changes. I'm not sure what fans they're talking to. Must be the fans out in Anaheim or something like that, but certainly not here.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you guys all bring up great points. It's silly. They say that the average time of Major League game was 2 hours and 54 minutes in 2001. So it is 3 hours and 11 minutes in the 2021 season.
Yeah,
So
'cause
it
these
has
guys
So it's
gone
been
up.
what?
damn many pitches and swing and miss so much.
So it's gone up. How many minutes is that, Nick? I'm a history major, so do the math for me.
Looks like 17
It's
minutes.
gone up. It's gone
Thank
up. Yeah, 17 minutes.
All right, so
they're
say
just trying to
you
get.
shave that back off and get to 2 hours and 54 minutes. Does anybody care? Like, does that change? Does that move the needle for the casual fan?
Dude,
to
this
go
is just
from
more
311
dollar
to
hot dogs for me
254?
in Cleveland. Yeah.
It's to Nick's point. I think the rule changes that they're making, I think they're kind of one of those, blowing smoke situations where I think they're out there telling us that these rules are because of fan feedback and the fans think the game is too long, and we've gained 17 minutes on average per contest over the last 20 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the rules that they're implementing, I think games are going to go longer. I mean, if you are telling defenses where they can't go. Now, granted, I don't think it's going to change that much overall, but there will be a number of games because there are some lineups that are just consistently pull hitter after pull hitter. So there are some teams individually that will gain an advantage from this. The overall batting average of the whole league combined, I don't think is going to make that much of a difference. I don't. But certain teams will benefit from this. So you will have games that will have much more runs now.
Right.
Because you're telling defenses where they can't play.
Right. You're
So more
shortening it
runs
with a
is longer
pitch clock, and then you're lengthening it, with giving
It's
offense more of a chance.
Well, you're lengthening it with replay, and you've added all these other things that have changed the
Without a
game, and you got guys that are up there, like Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn, he got a good pitch hit, he hit it. These guys, they're happy to sit there and go 0-2 before they even swing the bat. I'd be curious in 2001 when the game was 2 hours and 54 minutes, how many pitches per game were thrown? That's probably gone up 15% because these guys take so damn many pitches.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know we're already at an hour and a half here, but I mean, just to get into the minutia of that, I mean, with strike, I mean, you need at least 3 pitches to strike somebody out. That's simple math. And I'm not a math guy, but that's simple math. And strikeouts going up means more pitches.
Yep.
Pitchers trying to go for the strikeout means more balls out of the zone.
Mhm.
So we're seeing, I would love to see the comparison of 2001 to 2022 full counts per game. I don't know if that stat's out there. I'm sure it is because there's every baseball stat in the world is everywhere, is somewhere.
Everything's tracked.
I would love to see the comparison. That is your culprit. Your culprit is not times thrown over to first base. Your culprit is not bullpen changes to match up pitcher and hitter. That ain't your culprit for the 17 minutes. It really isn't.
It's the dip and
All right.
lift.
Here you go. So, on average, in a Major League Baseball game today, in a Major League Baseball game in 2010, there were 146 pitches per game thrown per team. And that was up 11 pitches per game from even 20 years ago to that. So 11 pitches per game per team, that's 22 pitches. That's like a whole inning. That's like a whole inning worth of pitches that it was up, and that was 10 years ago.
Oh, I bet you from 2010 to now it's gone up. Well, so it was what, 146 or 147 per team?
146 per team.
146.
140,
So average pitches thrown in
200.
2021.
So per team. So it's 286 total pitches per game total.
Yep.
Right?
292.
Yeah, 292.
292, yeah.
Yeah, 146.
History guy. So
you're good. I agreed with you, so it's fine.
Yeah, dude. I bet you if we did it now in 2022, yeah, that's crazy. But that's your culprit. That's a whole inning.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Did we lose Harrison again?
No. I'm sorry. I was trying to find a more recent
I'm looking up too.
I was trying to find a more recent stat. So the two things that jump out is your pitches per game have gone up, and in 2001 you were using an average of 2.5 relievers per game. You're using almost 4 relievers per game today. More pitching changes. I mean, the game is different. You've got all these specialists. You got these guys throwing a friggin' hundo that come in and only pitch to left-handed batters in the 8th inning of a game on a Tuesday when the sun's out. Like, it's not the same game it was 20 years ago, and that's okay.
Okay, so here it is, right? The average pitches per inning thrown is about 23. So
And that's today's game?
I think so. So it's 207. So
per team.
Yep.
And that was 146 in 2010.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of pitches, man.
Yeah. That's up 60. That's up 60 pitches. So therefore,
like
60 times 20 seconds is what?
That's 2 or 3
minutes?
innings worth of pitches you're throwing extra. It's like playing a 12-inning game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's Major League Baseball really thinks that this pitch clock is going to speed it up that much more. I just don't know how when you have that number of pitches. It just needs to take time. Like, it just takes time. I can't imagine there are much more than 20 seconds in between now. Anyways, I can't imagine it.
Does MLB think we're stupid enough to believe that Theo Epstein and those guys don't have these same stats in front of them? Like, if we're finding this crap on Google, these guys have stats in front of them. They're telling them the problem with baseball is strikeouts and all these pitches being taken, and yet they're going to put a clock in and change the defense. Like,
yeah, but to defend, I can't believe I'm doing this, but to defend Major League Baseball,
it's like giving a cancer patient an Advil and saying this should do the trick.
Well, but there's nothing like baseball can't. What are you gonna do? Outlaw strikeouts? I mean, like, you can't. It's part of the game. Like, you can't. Like, baseball's their hands are tied in that sense. Like, they can't
make the ball bigger.
Make the ball bigger. Yeah, because that'll go quicker. You can't start telling guys, well, you strike out too much, so you can't play.
No. I mean, the game's changed.
The game has changed. They just have to accept that the game has changed. I think that's the ultimate.
Why don't we just change every count to a 3-2 count? So they throw a ball, he walks.
Better yet, we're gonna take it down from 2 strikes, you're out, 3 balls, you walk. Let's just speed it up. Let's just get to the end result faster.
Yeah, crazy. Anyways, all right, we're at hour and a half already. I'm going to get to these two things real quick. Trout homers tonight, which makes it 7 straight for this
I
guy.
thought his career was over with this big back injury.
Oh, goodness. I mentioned this to Harrison earlier, real quick, is like we have been absolutely robbed of Mike Trout's career. A, being on the East Coast, and B, just the guy can't stay healthy. I mean, imagine if this guy was healthy 162 or even 150 every year, the stats this guy would put up year after year after year. It's just insane. But yeah, 7
He's a
straight
freak.
homers.
He's a freak.
Crazy. And then Zach Gallen for the Arizona Diamondbacks, 44 and a third scoreless innings, and it is still running. I don't think he has lost that streak yet. And that was after I dropped him off my fantasy team. So you're welcome.
Good. Good call.
Yeah.
But you probably kept all those injured outfielders, right?
Well, yeah, dude. I just took
yeah.
Wander Franco off the IL, so I'm good.
So yeah, and then what? Oral Hershiser's record was it 57 or 59?
I don't know. It's something ridiculous, but
59. 59 in 1988.
59.
I had to look it up.
Crazy, dude. 59.
I mean, but
for
can you? I mean, 44 innings in today's game? That's insanity.
Yeah. Especially with the Diamondbacks.
I know he's the guy.
Especially just because everyone.
Him.
I mean, again, to your guys, to just the way that everyone lifts off now. I mean,
Yeah.
there's. I mean, every lineup you're facing, all 9 guys are a threat to go bridge. So it's that's an impressive number for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Tristan Casas hits his first home run, and then Josh Young for the Texas Rangers hits a home run in his first major league at bat. So that's pretty cool for that kid.
So look at Gallen real quick. He went 7 scoreless against the Pirates, 7 scoreless against the Rockies in Colorado, 7 1/3 scoreless against the Giants, 6 scoreless against the Royals, 7 scoreless against the Phillies, 7 scoreless against the Brewers.
Wow.
And he did give up some runs last night, actually. He gave up 3 runs last night against the Rockies. So the streak was broken last night. But he had gone 44 1/3, and he had 4 road games,
Crazy.
2 in Colorado. He went 44 1/3 scoreless.
That's nuts.
Shit.
Yeah.
Insane.
Also talking about home runs, the last 2 things I got. I know I said that like 4 things ago, but Christian Yelich at Coors Field goes 499, which was the longest of the of the year, until CJ Cron steps up and hits one 504 that leaves Coors Field.
Good
Like
bomb.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean
like
that they served a meal and showed a movie on that ball that Cron hit. I mean that thing was up forever.
They panned to the Rockies dugout, and all of them were just like.
I mean, and even he felt that way as he came around first base. He was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
And that guy's hit some tape measure bombs in that park too, and even that one, like that, still was amazing. That was crazy. Absolutely.
You don't see a lot of balls get up over that bleacher seating area, but that ball did. I mean, it looked like it hit the damn pickup truck up in the background.
Unreal.
Yeah, nuts. All right. Yeah, it was a long one tonight. A lot of information. A lot of us complaining about rule changes. So thanks for hanging in there with us. We are excited for down the stretch here. Playoff baseball is around the corner. I know football season started for a lot of you guys that watch. Hang with us. Our season's almost over. Then you can enjoy football all you want.
Although if you're a fan of the Cowboys, the Patriots, the Packers, and a couple others, you're not maybe looking forward to football season anymore.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
Anyways, stay with us. We got a few weeks of our season left, and then you guys can enjoy your football season. Yeah. But just before you go, make sure you like our Facebook page, subscribe our YouTube channel, share it, interact with us any way you can, and then we'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m.
See ya.